Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today, having another look at some more ICM products. It's not actually a new one this time, it's actually been out for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years I think. But one that I thought I should get to talk about figures. There's been a lot of talk when we've been doing reviews on the ICM aircraft. They don't provide a pilot figure with the models, and here we've got the 48 scale RAF pilots and ground personnel 1939 to 45. So when I actually talked to them about this and said there's been a lot of feedback saying we'd like pilots, and they said, well, the problem is every kit would require a different pilot, and we prefer to do it in this way and actually do almost like an aftermarket set, if you like, of separate figures that are very specific to a particular era. Because otherwise, of course, they have to remould for every aircraft. It probably adds a lot of cost. We've heard this from Airfix as well, of course. They've been equally reticent about this and not been very keen to include figures. I think it's a bit of a mistake, but at least with ICM, they are giving us some bang up-to-date, high-quality figures where we can actually obtain them to go with the aircraft to produce a diorama. Now, whether we can have, there are some, I have asked the question about seated pilots for, displaying your aircraft in flight, which is quite important for a lot of us, I think. Quite a few people have said they'd like to, portray the aircraft in flight and have a stand and all this kind of thing. Something I think that they're looking at for the future, perhaps. But in the meantime, I thought we'd have a look at this, because this is certainly something that would enhance your set. I've also got, before we get into that, I've also got slightly different subject, but I've also got another one of their paint sets, which I just thought I'd talk about very quickly. And it's the World War I and World War II weapons and equipment paint set. This is ICM's acrylic paints, which are very popular now. And basically on the back, as you'll see, we've got a whole set of World War I on the left, World War II on the right. Typical equipment that the Wehrmacht would have had, and this is the paint set you're going to need to paint them. So we've got a Mauser pistol here. It looks awfully like a Browning. I'm not too sure about that one. A machine gun, which you'll forgive my complete ignorance, I don't actually recognise what that one is. My World War I knowledge isn't the strongest. You've got a shovel, trenching shovel, and a pickaxe and all that kind of thing. And then more familiar perhaps to many of us on the World War II side, you've got ammo pouches, trenching tool, binoculars, probably what's a P38 or PPK, Walther, MG34, I think that is, MG34, Schmeiser MP40 machine pistol, and a dagger. So basically what you've got in here is the paints that you'd need for any of those sort of weapons, and very useful for generic stuff anyway, for weapons generally. I mean, you could use some of these colours quite happily on allied stuff as well, because I don't think there's a whole lot of difference in terms of shades. So we've got natural steel, gunmetal, which of course is a very generic colour, grey green, warm grey, leather brown and black. So you've got a nice little paint set there, which would really enable you to use that on many different applications for sort of World War I and World War II weapons and equipment, really. So that's quite a nice set. So I thought I'd just show you that. Now let's get down to the main business, which is this RAF personnel. And everything you see in this artwork is included in this set. And this set only retails for about, you can pick it up for around £13 or less. So, certainly between £12 to £15 is the sort of going price for this product. It's kit number 48081. And just to prove my point about you get everything in the set, look at this. So you've got a chap here, like ground personnel carrying a jerry can, and we've got a WAF, lady RAF officer. We have got what looks like a pilot who's in deep discussion. He's got a sou'wester on, life preserver jacket, and then we've got a pilot in a slightly more informal, no longer in flying uniform. Then we've got one that's completely togged up in his full flying gear, about to get in the aircraft. The ground personnel guy here is just clearly leaning over to help him get aboard. And then we've even got a dog, which looks like, is it a golden retriever, that one? Not an expert on dogs, you'll forgive me. We've got a dog, and we've got his master, it looks like, as well. So rather a nice set there if you want to have a diorama for RAF personnel World War II. So why don't we get started and have a look at this, and I'll dig into it for you. I say I requested this because so many people had said, well, we don't have any pilots and what have you, so I thought this was a sort of way around it. Certainly if you want to produce a nice diorama, this is probably the way to go, I think. Just got it through that very impressive tape, which is very secure. The packaging is excellent as usual. There we go, we in? Yes we are. Right, let's give it a go. Now then, get the top off. There we are. One sprue. Oh, it includes some ladders as well, that's cool. That I did not expect. Very nice. If there are decals in here, I don't think there are. No, don't think so. Right, okay. I'll move that over there. Put it on the side. See what we've got. So, it's quite an impressive set. There's quite a lot in here actually. Now, I've said before, I've used ICM's many sets for ground personnel for the Luftwaffe, and I thought there's another reason I thought I should get this, because it'd be nice if I actually, I think there's every chance that I will actually make up this set myself, because I've got plenty of, you know, RAF 48 scale stuff, and it's long overdue that they had a bit more support really. So let's have a look at what we've got here. So, sprue map, including quite a few ancillary items. We've got making up some oxygen bottles here with a trolley. We've got like what looks like a sort of a machine tool stand for doing workshop stand. We've got what looks like a the word has just escaped me. What am I looking for here? Like an engine lift lattice, you know. My mind's gone completely. Anyway, so basically an assembly for lifting engines and heavy items and things like that. And then we've got some ladders, and we've got a jerry can. And over here, not a big fan of the way they present this at ICM on the figures. I wish they'd showed them like Tamiya do, being constructed, but yeah, because you've got to make sure you get the right. They are numbered, so the detail is there, but you need to just be careful you're getting the right ones, because follow the correct numbers to be sure. So you've got your pilot who looks like he's discussing an aerial dogfight encounter. You've got another one that's obviously listening to this yarn. Here's your ground personnel carrying his petrol can, jerry can. The lady, WAF officer here, looks like she's got some briefing papers or orders there she's delivering to perhaps the pilot. We've got an officer looking down, either looking down at the dog or he's looking down from the aircraft. And then we've got the pilot who's getting aboard the aircraft. And you've got the, looks like a sergeant here who's assisting him to get aboard and get airborne. So let's have a look at what we have got in this pack then. So there's one sprue, lots of figures. And I have to say ICM's 48 scale figures are usually pretty good, so I'm expecting it to be pretty decent. Quite a lot to look at on this one sprue. It's quite a busy sprue, isn't it? Here we go then. Now then, where to begin? I think we'll begin at the top. So, in this case, it is. Well, actually, no. I'll begin here because I've just realised that bench that I mentioned is actually it's actually a gun. It's actually loading bullets into a feed belt. Is what it was doing. So you've actually got the mechanism for loading them in. And it's almost like a little machine. It's here actually. Don't know if we can see it. There we go. What it does is it punches gently punches. I'll try and get closer. Punches the bullets into the actual feed belts. So that's what they're doing. They're actually preparing the feed belts for the machine guns. How about that? We've got our like a trellis type assembly. I'm still using the wrong word, I'm sure. That's for hoisting things up like engines, etc. Got our oxygen bottles, and you can see we've got some nice jerry cans, all in 48 scale. You can actually see the feed belts here. You can get the focus on it. Yeah, you can see the bullets in the belts. Obviously that loading system goes in between. Then we've got some more oxygen bottles over there. Now we get down to other end. We've got, ta-da! We've got the again the sort of tripod apparatus for suspending the engine hoist. That was the word I was looking for. Hoist. It's a hoist, isn't it? And then we've got some nice ladders here, which are quite cool, and other parts of the hoist framework here. Wheels here for the trolley that carries the oxygen bottles. Then we've got some wood here, wood effect, which is the bottom of the bench on which you've got the magazine or gun belt loading system. So there's a few parts of the bench work there, including the frame. And then we get into the figures. So we're going to start with the lady. Try and do this as tastefully as I can. So a lady is here, the WAF officer, and she's very detailed, isn't she? She's got, see all the buttons and on her tunic and everything, very, very clear detail there. All the pleats, she's got a skirt on, you've got pleats in a skirt. Typical ladies WAF standard issue shoes, heavy duty shoes. She's got her arm down there on like an attaché case, like a leather attaché case. She's got a nice little cap here. Yeah, it's really nice, isn't it, for 48 scale. Then we've got the dog, golden retriever I think it is, which is quite nice. Two-sided dog, look at that. That's a nice figure. And then we've got various parts of some of the guys seem to have been split. This is where you've got to be careful and make sure, follow the instructions carefully and get the right piece, the right head and the right arms. Otherwise you'll end up with Frankenstein, quite frankly. Frankenstein's monster, I should say. Because people always get that wrong, don't they? Including me, by the way. There's a myth around this, isn't there? They say, oh, that's Frankenstein, when they see the guy with the bolts coming out of his neck and all these stitches in his head. No, Frankenstein was the guy who created him, Dr. Frankenstein. It's Frankenstein's monster. Not a lot of people know that, and I've even since childhood I've always mixed them up in my head, you know. And you say, it's Frankenstein, it's not, it's Frankenstein's monster. Okay, so there you go. You've learned something there. Anyway, back to the RAF team. So here we go, we've got some very detailed arms. You can see the fingers, they've figured them very nicely. Can you see the individual fingers? It's nicely done, isn't it? And then you've got the sou'wester here, the waterproof sou'wester jacket. And again on the men you've got some very nice detail on the sort of torso with all their badges, and they've got all the buttons and things very nicely represented. It's a shame they didn't have some decals for some of the insignia, that would have been nice, like Tamiya have been doing on their recent figures. You see that the camera knows that's a face because it's just locked onto it with a little box. You can't see that, but I can see it here on my screen. So it recognises a human face. And then we've got another one over here. We see the camera will get it. Yep, the camera's locked onto that as well, so it's doing quite well. And this one. And again, look at the hands. Very, very nicely detailed, aren't they? And we've got some nice detail on the sort of boots and the trousers, creases and pleats in the trousers. We've got a nice RAF cap here. That's done well. I think there's anything else we've not seen. We've got these guys that are the guy that is actually kneeling down. So there's a little tiny bit of flash on this this sprue, I've got to say. But it's not the very latest tool, as I did explain. It's a tooling from 3-4 years ago, I think. So it's not quite up to their current standard, shall we say, which has really leapt forward leaps and bounds at ICM, has to be said. Over here you've got your pilot who's about to go into action. You can see all his belts and his parachute. He's got his parachute there, which is there in the middle. Just turn it the right way around. Here we go, there's the parachute. And then you've got all the parachute straps, of course, on his torso. You can see them clearly. So that's come out really nicely, hasn't it? I mean, it's a nice set, I've got to say. little tiny bit of cleanup just on 1-2 parts, but it's not particularly flashy at all, I wouldn't say. And then over here you've got your pilot with his head, and he's got his helmet on, flying helmet, and he's even got the oxygen mask on. See that? That's quite nice, isn't it? Oxygen mask. Yeah, that's cool. Let's turn him around a bit. See the back of his head. There we go. Back of the helmet, the flying helmet. I mean, they're really nice figures, aren't they? They've been very, very well done, I've got to say. Fantastic detail on them, really. It just adds something, doesn't it, to a diorama, especially when you've got your faithful, you know, RAF mascot dog there. That's absolutely brilliant. So another nice set from ICM. I say it's not a brand new one. This it's recent, but not brand new. But certainly something when some of you have been saying, well, we need some pilots to go with our aircraft, and do they do them? So yeah, they certainly do. The sort of in-flight flying pilots, I think that's a project for the future for them. It's nice to see them do that. So only minor hiccup there is just a tiny bit of flash here and there. I think I'm going to give that 9 out of 10, which is a good rating for something that's not new. Yeah, and it's got nice artwork with it. You get 8 figures including the dog, so it's really nice. You know, you can't go wrong. 9 out of 10 from me. I think that's fair. Hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up, a like, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and don't forget to ding the notification bell to make sure you ding the all, not the personalised, but because that's letting YouTube decide what it thinks you might be interested in, which is always a mistake. Better if you decide yourself. So ding all notifications, and yeah, and I hope to see you on another video very soon. We've got plenty more materials coming through from ICM between now and Christmas, and we have just had a little bit of bad news, a slight delay on one of them. It's the B-26 Marauder. That's not coming through till next year. So I just thought I'd better give you that bad news. Maybe some hiccup in production, I'm not sure, but that won't be straight away. But plenty of others are coming through, plenty of interesting things to look at. So stay tuned. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Stay well and stay safe. Stay warm, because it's that time of the year, certainly in the northern hemisphere anyway. And hope to see you again in the very near future. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves, and bye for now.